And good morning, and welcome to Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Bill Dixon and Kaz Szynal once again
me.
Here.
I'm here, Bill.
I don't remember. It's been so long, right?
Yeah, it's been a while. Thank goodness for you.
It's been a year or two, but it's so great to have you back.
Oh,
in the
you're
booth,
so
Coach.
nice. You're doing one nice to me, Bill.
It's like returning to the scene of a crime,
That's
right.
Absolutely
Exactly.
Right. That's absolutely right. And ready to go on Coach's Corner this year as we talk about the Wawasee Warriors and the upcoming football season. Let's get right down to it. Coach, thanks for being with us this morning. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me. I love this.
Now, tell us a little bit. You've got a brand new staff, some old returning faces, some very new fresh faces. You stole my color man from last year. Who's out there with you?
All right. Well, this high school coaching staff this year is a little mixture, like you said, of some guys that have been around, brought some guys out of semi-retirement, and introducing some new faces. First of all, we got Andy Zapst. Here's our defensive coordinator. Andy's been with me this going into my third year, and Andy's been with me all 3 years, and he coaches linebackers and slot receivers.
And he's a fantastic history coach at Wawasee, history teacher at Wawasee Middle School. That Indiana history unit that he developed there.
Yep.
For the first, they do Indiana history for the first month now in 8th grade.
Oh, wow, that's
fantastic
great.
Unit, tremendous unit.
That's good.
Yeah, and you know, that's a great point, Bill, because to be a good coach, you got to be a good teacher. Mm-hmm. It's just they're different settings. So Andy does a great job with our defense. Then I got Mark Osmoloski.
Say that again, please.
We just call him Coach O.
I love that name.
Kaz might be able to do a couple better with that, though, Coach
I
Szynal.
sometimes call him the Polish rifle.
Being Szynal, I mean, we were related by probably a couple generations ago, maybe that close. I don't know.
Could very well be.
I love that name, Coach O.
So Coach O is our offensive coordinator, Coach
O.
That
very
goes
good.
along too. He also coaches up our safeties as well in the secondary, and he's also been with me all 3 years. Does a great job, PE teacher over at and health over at Milford.
Very good.
And then we have Connor Galan. Connor's come in and replaced Brady Nyland. Brady Nyland was our offensive line coach and strength and conditioning guy, and Brady moved closer to home. He is down at Speedway in Indianapolis, and when it first happened, it was sad to see him go, and we all liked Brady, and Brady really helped establish Wawasee strength training and did a great job with our offensive line. And I don't know if you recognize the name Glon, but Reggie Glon, Mishawaka Marion, this is his son.
Very good.
He has had the same training as Brady at Manchester University. He's coming off an internship at Purdue, where he worked with the football team. And he is our strength and conditioning coordinator and our offensive line coach.
So that's a 12-month-a-year job, strength and conditioning, because they're at it all the time down in the weight room.
Absolutely. And, he's not just training our kids in strength and conditioning. He's training all the athletes. And so that program is on great footing, and he's going to take it to the next level.
Fantastic.
So we lucked out there. We lucked out a lot to get somebody like Connor to come in and fill in for somebody that was as great as Brady. So,
and that's huge. I mean, these kids, look at the competition.
It's pivotal.
Yeah,
pivotal
is the right word.
Right. One of my number one goals is get our team stronger, make our better athletes, and the number two is get more of them. And so, you're right. I mean, it's right up there with everything, and X's and O's is not as high as a lot of people think. It's the athletes, the Jimmies and the Joes, and so Brady did a fantastic job, and you can tell it across our athletics. We've had more success in the last year than the previous years, and you can see it in the kids' confidence too, and you can see it in their bodies. They're developing, they're starting to believe in the program, and they're really getting bigger, faster, stronger, if you want to use the phrase. And it's going to pay dividends as we move on down the road as well, and getting kids into that. And I have to thank the administration, a little plug to the administration too, because we've changed how we do strength and conditioning. how many kids can be in a class and how many times they can take it and when they can take it. All those things have changed, and it's made a huge impact on our athletic department. And, coaches appreciate it, the players, the students appreciate it, and it's only going to help our athletics.
Oh, yeah, and it helps the kids.
Absolutely.
I mean, then they can go on from here and get, scholarships and down the road also help you coach, assistant coaches and kid coaches and whatever. So,
well, and in the world we live in today, folks are not as active in their general lives. So if we can teach these people at a younger age how to be physically fit, just a general, not just for a sport, but just in general, that's going to pay societal benefits down the road.
Absolutely. And they also talk about nutrition and taking care of your body and also coming from me at the end of every practice. So the kids kind of get sick of hearing it, I'm sure, but I talk about eat, sleep, and hydrate. You got to take care of your body so it takes care of you. And
that's right.
So all that goes all hand in hand. And I'll give a little plug to Trevor Pruitt, our trainer. He and our strength and conditioning coach work together quite a bit, and they're great. We're lucky to have them.
So who else do you have with you?
Well, you mentioned your color man from last year, Michael Casey.
Yes.
Brought him back in. Mike and I coached together for about 8 years back in the day when Coach Wagaman was here, and Coach Ekovich was here. And Mike, as some people know, he's the assistant principal at Milford. And, he joked over the years, hey, if you need a D-line coach, I can come in and do some things. And actually this year I actually took him up on it. And so Mike is a volunteer, but he comes in and does a great job. Enthusiasm.
Oh, Mr. Enthusiasm.
Absolutely. And he is a technician when it comes to defensive line.
Really?
And he played the D-line at Taylor and he has high expectations and the right approach, and so he is an excellent addition to our staff.
Excellent. I know years ago, coaches, when they approached football, offensive positions were considered more skilled than defensive positions. If you had a good athlete who'd come to play the game, but had never played football before, you could always slap him somewhere on the defense and run to the ball, right? Run to the ball. It's a lot more than that these days.
It is. The whole game itself is specialized, and that necessitates more coaches. Not only player health, but also the different techniques that go on. It's a lot more complicated than 3 yards in a cloud of dust and, the way it used to be back in the day. And
sure.
So, yes, it's become a lot more technical and fundamental, and you need good coaches at all positions, and Mike fulfills that role for us.
He's fantastic.
And the other thing that's interesting is you got to work with these guys. I mean, you have, as the head coach, you kind of have to make sure that everybody's doing their job. And I mean, that I think head coach in football or basketball in the state of Indiana, it's got to be one of the hardest things. And people don't realize that, do they?
No.
Unless you've done it.
Yeah, behind the scenes, there's so much that goes on that I couldn't begin to list all the things, and most people don't see that. They just see the team out on the field, and that's how they make their judgment. And that's what we're working for too. We're working to put a team out there the community can be proud of and want to come see, and see these young men out in the community doing great things, community service, going on to become good fathers, brothers, husbands, those kind of things. That's what the program's all about, and football's just something fun we get to do.
It is. It really is.
And I know you've got a couple more there who are still with you. We're not done with that list.
Oh, no. We also pulled Chris Cotton out of the retirement.
Wow.
Chris is back. Yep. Chris's grandson is one of our quarterbacks, and he wanted to watch him this year. He had been part of the Goshen staff the last couple of years, and I knew that he was free, and so I kind of tricked him a little bit and talked to him a little bit about, hey, you want to help out a little bit? We need a volunteer. And so Chris is coaching our tight ends and kind of an offensive consultant. And he is another guy that brings a lot of experience. We've coached together, and, he's a Wawasee guy, played here, went to school here, coaching our Pee Wee program for years, been an assistant coach. Just a well-rooted Wawasee person, and he brings a lot of things to the table for our staff as well.
Put Chris Cotton and Michael Casey on the same sideline. I'm surprised things don't catch on fire. I mean, that much enthusiasm in one place. That's like filling a barn full of hay. It's eventually going to catch. That's a lot. Those two great guys.
Yes.
Cotton
great
has
experience.
Has that commercial on the radio on 93.7 about participating in football, not football, but participating in sports.
Yes.
And he does a great job with that. I mean, and he is that kind of person.
Yes, he is.
Yep. Then we got Nick Feldman. Nick Feldman's a new teacher. He's actually from Tippy Valley, where he was captain his senior year. And Nick is teaching business and social studies. There's a combo for you. And he's going to be one of our JV coaches. He's going to work with our outside linebackers and running backs, and we're really glad to have Nick on board. And to round out our staff, Clayton Cook is still with us. Clayton is a Wawasee guy too, great athlete, and he is entering his third year with us. He's coaching the JV, the cornerbacks and receivers, and we're glad to have Clayton back as well. Then we have our freshman coaches. Freshman coaches, J.J. Perry and Tyler Smith. They're both back with us, and they've been with me all 3 years as well. They do a great job with our freshmen. We've had about 30 kids or more come out the last 3 years, and that was another one of my main goals. Besides the strength and conditioning component was to get the numbers up, and that has helped quite a bit. And we have retained a lot of those kids because you have a natural selection there, and some kids don't continue on. But we got good numbers in our junior, sophomore, and again, our freshman class.
That's almost half the boys in the freshman class. It's got to be because there's not much more than 150 somewhere in there. So you've got almost half of them out for football.
Well, we've got a few, and there's still some coming out. You know how the school starts, and couldn't get a ride and all those things. So we still got some coming out, but those guys do a great job with those freshmen. And, that transition is so key from middle school to high school, that freshman year. And we want them to enjoy that experience and have one more time of just that class playing together. And then, obviously we have JV and varsity from there where we're mixing the classes up. But they do a great job. And then we have a blessing of an addition this year, Greg Moe. I don't know if you know Greg, but Greg comes to us from Central Noble. He's been the head coach there. He's been administrator there, and teacher. And Greg's retired and has a little time on his hands, and arrived one day this summer and said, "Do you need a volunteer? What do you need?" And so I jumped right on that.
I was going to say, there you go.
And Greg has been fantastic. You don't get those kind of guys ever.
Yeah, that's like a once in a career deal.
It is, and to have somebody on that level working with those young kids is that's going to pay dividends as well. So I'm really happy with our coaching staff and what we put together. We've got a nice mixture of veterans and younger guys, good, enthusiastic people. Some guys have been through the wars and the battles of coaching on a football staff, and part of coaching as well is how your staff gets along. And, and you spend so much time together and you work together and things like that. And these guys all get along and joke around and give each other the business and things like that. And it's been great. So I just want to introduce our staff this year and let everybody know who's out there coaching their boys up. And these guys put in so much time. Yeah, and people don't realize that either of how much time. I mean, we don't get paid by the hour.
You'd be as rich as Donald Trump if that happened.
Yes, if we broke it down, it'd be pennies. These guys put in so much time watching film, coming up with drills and things like that, and the extra time that they do is amazing, and it's all for the kids.
Yeah, you took the mind right out of my thought there. It's all for the kids. And, all the stuff that goes on behind is just really, really important.
And Coach Reutebuch and his staff have been busy, not just from last night. They've been busy all summer long. We're going to talk about what the team did this summer here in just a minute on Coach Reutebuch's Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Talking to the head football coach of the Wawasee Warriors, Coach Jon Reutebuch. We've got Coach Szynal, and I'm Bill Dixon here with you as well. Coach, last night we had the Mishawaka Marion scrimmage, but your football season didn't start last night. Your football season has been ongoing because your kids have been at it, preparing, getting ready. It's really a constant cycle with you guys.
It is. It starts after the season ends from the previous year. One of the things we talk about and set goals for the next year with the younger guys, and then we work with the senior boys, and if they want to go on and play college football, and helping them get their highlight tapes, and college coaches contact you and getting that information. But strength and conditioning we talked about earlier is a huge component of that, and that off-season lifting makes a huge difference. And so they start that right away, and the other component that I push is I try to get kids out for other sports. I want the well-rounded athlete, and if you pay attention to college coaches these days, they don't want the specialized kids. They want the well-rounded athlete, the kid that's willing to put himself out there in different sports and contribute to different teams. And I believe competition makes you better. And so if a kid's not already a basketball player, I'll say, why don't you go out for wrestling and go swimming? If you're not in anything in the springtime, you're not in golf or baseball, why don't you go out for track? It's going to help you. And so that is a big component. We want our athletes in all our sports, especially here at Wawasee. We need all our athletes playing a lot of different sports.
Coach, expound on that just a little bit, because, that's kind of a little bit of a change. Used to be when you were a head coach of something, you wanted that kid in basketball all summer long. You wanted him in baseball. You wanted him to go to some football camps. And that's a huge change.
It's really coming full circle to the way it was many years ago, back when the football was made of stone and Kaz was playing.
Yeah, the coaches, the other thing I thought that I recognized way back in the day, like he said, when I went to on my dinosaur, is that the coaches got along really well from different sports.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that happens here. That's another component. Coaches working well together, and hey, talking with John Everingham, hey, I think this kid might be a good football player, and that transitions. Vince Beasley is an example of a kid. He was a basketball player only, and his cousin Johnny Turco got him to come out, and he was one of the best receivers in the state. His
King of the
year.
coffin corner,
and that made him a better basketball player, and he'll tell you that. And that was something that we still use to this day. That one sport can help you gain confidence and gain strength and all those things. We have Colin Robertson on our team right now. He's the center of the basketball team, and he's a heck of a football player. And
the Wiggs boy.
Yes.
That's another good example.
Absolutely. And so I have always been a proponent of play everything until somebody tells you can't, And so because you got that small window in life. Your high school career is just those 4 years, and, you realize later in life how good at times those were when you're playing sports and you just had to focus on going out there and doing the best you can. And so I'm a big proponent of that and always have been. So,
I just wanted to talk a second about Beasley, because I can remember myself trying to get him to go ahead and play football because he was tall and he was good. And Bill and I were doing the game, and it was the very first play when he went in for scrimmage. It was a touchdown, and I'm thinking, whoa, a touchdown catch from Tuco, and I'm thinking, whoa, how neat is that? And now I see Beasley, and I say, hey. See him here in the halls. Well, what a neat thing, like you just said, to get him to do other stuff.
And you look back over the years at Wawasee successes, in athletics, and you look on some of those basketball teams and football teams that, went to regional, semi-state, state, those kind of things. You're going to see a lot of multi-sport athletes. And just off the top of my head, that kids I know and have worked with, and now they're community members, people like Mock and Leach and McKibben and Conrad, and I can go on and on. The Lance boys, just go on and on. They're multi-sport athletes, and they're well-rounded, and I believe that's a part of a great athletic program. And from the football standpoint, it's only going to make our program better too. And so that is also a component. But the strength and conditioning. Getting them stronger, more confident, and I'll throw out a name, Quentin Smitsmocker. Quentin's from Wisconsin originally. We call him Cheese, but it's not because he's from Wisconsin. He has a big smile on his face all the time. And he'll probably admit to you his first couple of years he wasn't very strong. He's over a 300-pound bench presser, and he has put in the work and transformed his body. When he takes his shirt off, he's a solid individual. And so he's just one kid of many that have seen those gains, and they're much more confident athletes when they go out there. And so that all starts when the season ends, but we pick it up in the summertime. And so in June, we work out 4 days a week. And they come in at 6 a.m. And there's several reasons for that. One is to beat the heat. Two is if they need to go to summer school, that starts at 8. So we're done at 8. If they want to work, they need a job, pay for gas in their car or whatever, they have the rest of the day to do that. And our community businesses have been wonderful in cooperating with their athletes and allowing them to do that. And then, if they want to have a summer, I'm not about taking their summer away from them. That's a time where everybody needs to recharge your batteries and get out and enjoy the sunshine, especially after a year with COVID.
Sure.
Everybody wants to get out there and socialize.
Yeah.
So that is something as well. Those are all components of why we work out so early in the morning. And plus, you got to have a little bit of commitment. You can't be staying up all night playing video games or whatever you're doing if you got to get up and go work out. And so these kids have put in a lot of work over the summer, and you got a lot at stake when you start that football season that you put in all those blood, sweat, and tears on the summer. And so that's been a good thing. We had a couple practices in the summertime, and then we went to Manchester University for a team camp. And there were 6 schools there. And it was a great opportunity for 3 days to get multiple practices in against other competition. And it also gives kids an experience of being on campus and staying in a dorm and eating dorm food and all those things. And so some of those kids may never see that. And so it gets them away from home, too. So, it's all focused on what we're doing. And that was excellent. We had 2 very big schools, Lake Central, one of the bigger schools in all of northern Indiana, and Hamilton Southeastern.
Oh, they don't get much bigger than that.
Yeah, and they had lots of kids. And Mishawaka Marion was there, and also Rochester and Culver. And so,
wow, what a mix.
You get quite a diversity. Offenses, defenses, athletes, all that. And so that was excellent for us. We couldn't do that the previous year. And so a team camp like that where you go off out of your district, and you don't have to go really far away. You see the pros do it. You see colleges do it. And so it really brings your team together, bonding together, and gets them really focused on football for a few days. So,
and by combining all those schools and all those kids, it gives you an opportunity and ability to bring in talent to help those students that you wouldn't otherwise have access to.
And they got coached by college coaches, too. And so that was an extra benefit. And Coach Jensen at Manchester was excellent. I mean, he was open to tailoring it to whatever we needed, as all coaches, and helped out quite a bit and gave us his staff. And that was also a neat experience, to have somebody else yelling at him and putting them through drills. And I'm joking and not yelling at him all the time. But, they got coached by college coaches as well. So that was kind of neat. And sometimes they see, well, my high school coach said this and the college coach is saying this. So maybe
it's true.
Yeah, maybe it's something I really need to listen to. So that was June. July, we cut down the workouts to 3 days a week, and we become more active in football-type activities. We had, again, a couple practices in there. We were supposed to have an 11-on-11 over at Bremen, and Mother Nature intervened, and it got postponed to Monday. couple of teams couldn't make it, so we ended up having a scrimmage with Bremen, and that was excellent.
Really?
They run a great program over there.
Bremen, the thin green line over there.
Yeah.
Is also a long green line. They've been around a long time with football.
And their coaching staff was excellent. Their kids are great kids, and it was great competition. It was very beneficial for us.
At this camp in Manchester, how many kids showed up? How many kids did they have to?
At Manchester?
Yeah, when you were doing that 3-day thing over there. Roughly.
Well, Lake Central brought 80-some kids. Hamilton Southeastern, I believe, had 120 kids.
Jeez.
We took about 48, 50 kids. And then, of course, Culver and Rochester are going to be a little smaller. I think Mishawaka Marion was about the same as us.
So you had about 400 kids over there.
Oh, yeah.
How'd they do that? How'd you do that? How'd you manage all that?
Well, you manage your team.
Yeah.
The coaches got to manage your teams, and that you have a schedule, and you follow the schedule, and coaches are, got to get your kids out there the field. You have meals scheduled at certain times, so not everybody's in there at once. We also had our kids get up early in the morning and go work out too. So they were worn out after those 3 days.
You think?
Oh, absolutely.
You think?
We didn't have too much trouble getting some of those kids to sleep at night. They were gassed.
They were off their video games.
Oh, yeah. There wasn't much going on after that.
So you've gotten us as far in the month of July as your impromptu scrimmage over with the Lions of Bremen.
Yep.
Then what'd you do?
And then we also had, we hosted an 11-on-11 here at Wawasee. And we had Fairfield, LaVille, and John Glenn come in. And just kind of a rotation. And if you're not familiar with the 11-on-11 concept, it's where they wear helmets and shoulder pads, no lowers, and as soon as contact's made, it's a whistle. And so I like it. Most coaches like it a lot better than the 7-on-7s. That's not real football. There's a lot of things that, you take out the defensive line, and kids are running right down where the defensive line would be. You got linebackers bailing out. That's not what linebackers do. They take a read step towards the line of scrimmage first, and they got to check the run. So 11-on-11 is something that's becoming wildly popular, and a lot of teams are doing it, and that was excellent. We got to see the flex bone, which we faced during the season with Warsaw and Mishawaka, and Fairfield runs the flex bone. So that was excellent for us. John Glenn, they're a pretty good team, and that was a good competition. And LaVille, believe it or not, is a very talented team as well, and they got some big boys over there. So that was great competition. Again, coaches were excellent. I mean, I can speak for the coaches I come in contact with. There's so many great coaches out there that do a great job and do things the right way, and they're about getting their team ready, but they're also willing to help you get your team ready, and so that was an excellent experience. And then we wrapped up the summer with team camp, and that's where we bring the freshmen in, and that's for 3 days, and that's kind of like the culmination of the summer, and that's where we go back to the basics, and we show the freshmen this is how we do things, and we go back to the basics. Individual time is longer, and we install a few more things, and then we wrap that up with Thursday. We call it the Olympiad, and it's a competition between all the accountability groups. The seniors are in charge of their own group, and that's part of our leadership component, and they're in charge of making sure those kids have rides to workouts. They're in charge of helping those kids if they need any help with, how do I do this? How do I do my combination locker? How do I put these pads on?
So what you're saying is each senior has a group of underclassmen that he is responsible to make sure they have what they need.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I get it.
And there's multiple seniors on those accountability groups.
Oh, okay.
There could be 2 or 3 on those groups, and
so it's maybe 12 kids.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they get points along the season for showing up for workout. They get points for filling out their Train Heroic, which is the data that we put in from weightlifting and strength training. They get points for doing community service. They get points for going to practice. They get points for a lot of different things along the way. Warrior cards, you're selling warrior cards. I mean, there's a lot of different components, and the Olympiad is one of those things they also get points for. And after it's all said and done, the summer is over, then we have the winning accountability group. And the winning accountability group will get T-shirts, and then when we have our team meal, to celebrate the summer. They'll eat steak while the other kids eat hamburgers and hot dogs. So they get to watch them do that.
That's such a neat reward. I mean, it's not going to cost you $50 billion.
Right.
And yet it's a great, hey, look at what I get,
And it gives those seniors a chance to be leaders. Not every one of them can be a captain. And, you're a senior now. And it's not about just you anymore. It's about the team and what you can contribute to the team. It's that next level. And so that's something that we've implemented to try to, create more leaders out there. And so the Olympiad's a fun competition. You have everything from an obstacle course to 400, lifting, tire flip.
Oh, my gosh.
Dryden Hernandez flipped the tire.
I would imagine he might be able to do
100 yards. and we're not talking about small tires. We're talking about the big, huge tractor tire. Pretty amazing. And so, that's a fun way to wrap up the summer. And then we have a team cookout. And we had it over at the Wawasee Conservation area. Mm-hmm. And they were wonderful to open that up. They actually were having some kind of program going on the next day, so all the chairs and the tents were up, and we got to enjoy some fellowship and food, and that was a great way to wrap up the summer. So
nice community thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, nice use of that facility.
Our community is wonderful.
Isn't
Everything
it?
from our warrior cards to helping us out with things that we need, whether it's food for the kids or it's amazing how our community contributes. And we try to pay the community back, either by advertising or by on our warrior cards, our warrior cards, which are out there, by the way, if you want to buy one, they're still for sale. It is all community businesses. It's all food, and it's all 10%.
Nick Clark came whibbling up my driveway on a bicycle. It looked like a Fruhoff driving on a spare tire, coming up my driveway, and with the warrior cards. He was out there working hard.
Yeah. Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Isn't that great? I've always had a warrior
That's our
card.
biggest fundraiser, and again, it's all community businesses, and that's what I wanted. That's what we were working towards. And if you're like me, you don't want to have to think about, do I get this free or how much do I get off and all that stuff. It's 10% food card. Mm-hmm. So if they're on the card, it's 10%. And the idea is to get more people to frequent our local businesses. And so that's what we work out. And we have other businesses, too, that sponsor blackout shirts and make contributions and things like that. So our community is awesome. I know I got a little off the track with the summer activities.
That's huge.
But that's all a part of it.
Not to get off the track, but I will. We had a hard decision, my wife and I did, whether to stay in Indy or come up here, because I've always wanted to teach in this system. And so we debated, and we got jobs in August because they needed coaches and they needed teachers. And so we put it off making the decision for another 2 days, and the superintendent called and said, hey, we got to have your decision. And that was 40-some years ago. I mean, this is a great community.
So you made a decision?
No,
Sometime
actually,
40 years?
right, 40 years.
So wrap up, then you've got us as far as the month of August.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about that next time around? All right, let's do that.
We'll go ahead and get into the Marion scrimmage next and then preview Tippy Valley and our team.
Good. Coach Jon Reutebuch, he'll be right back. We're going to take care of those things here in just a moment on Coach Reutebuch's Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. And welcome back to Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Talking to head coach Jon Reutebuch of the Wawasee Warrior football program. Coach took on Marion last night. Well, I say took on. I'm not sure that's actually correct. We had a scrimmage with Marion last night. Interesting. I think we learned a lot about your team. What were your feelings about the scrimmage last night?
Scrimmages are another way to evaluate your team, and it's the first time you get to go full pads against somebody. And you learn a lot about your team and some of the things. And, there was great things out there. There were some not so great things out there. And there's a lot of teaching tools out there that we can take a look at film, and that's what's going to go on this morning. Do little bumps and bruises, work all that lactic acid out. They got to get loosened up. If they were to just roll out of bed, at noon and stuff like that, they'd be tight, and it's not good for the body. And so we bring them in and get them going. We'll utilize the pool. A little less stress on the knees and the joints. We'll do some running, distance running, just to kind of loosen things up. We'll do a lot of stretching, and sometimes we'll do some yoga, those kind of things to keep the kids flexible and help their bodies recover a lot quicker. And so that's a part of our program on Saturday mornings. And, of course, watching film and taking a look at this Marion scrimmage of what went right, what we want to replicate and keep doing, and some of the things that we need to fix. Either it's technique-wise or we went the wrong place at the wrong time, those kind of things. And so Marion's an excellent program. We are lucky to have a team like Marion to scrimmage against. I think it's been about 7 or out of 8 years they've gone to the regional. So that is a highly successful program. Coaching staff is excellent. Same kind of philosophies on teams and scrimmages and those kind of things. We saw each other down at Manchester, and so it's a really great opportunity to measure your team and give your kids an opportunity, full contact, live action before you get to that first game. And so there was a lot of good things that came out of that. You don't keep score. But people keep score. You know how that goes.
Talk about that, Bill, real quick.
Well, why bother to play the game if you don't keep score? Right now? But it wasn't a game; it was just a scrimmage.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And everything is very regulated, and there's probably a lot of people sitting in the stands going, "What the heck is going on? How do they do this? Where's the kickoff and all those things?"
Right.
You don't do special teams in a scrimmage.
Is that new?
No.
Okay.
No. We used to back in the day have something called the Jamboree.
Right.
Yes.
And they brought the Jamboree back. Teams can still do that now.
I know Fairfield did a Jamboree this year.
Which do you prefer? I don't want to.
The scrimmage.
You like the
by
scrimmage? By far.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Jamboree was more a community thing. Everybody, hey, the football season's starting. Come see your team in uniform. They'll play a couple quarters, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to remember the 4 teams. I want to say it was Goshen, Jimtown, us, and Northridge. I could be off on that, but you play 2 quarters. You play one school and you play the other school, and you try to avoid your conference. And so
I remember that.
We used to play jamborees.
Everybody did back in the day.
And then over the years, you progress, and the coaches talk about, is this really the best way to get your team ready? And so that's how it evolved to scrimmages. And then everybody was doing scrimmages, and you have options. You have option A where you can do a little special teams, but it's not a full go.
Yeah, right.
You can't rush the punter or the kicker, and you can't, tackle the returner. It's, most coaches say, what's the point?
Yeah, it's rather limited in value.
Exactly. And so everything is regulated by the state on how many plays a kid can play, how many plays they can play in a row, and where you start from. And so you start from the -35. We'll be on defense first, and then we'll be on offense second, and you have 15 plays in this time period.
Wow.
And then it goes to 10 plus 10 going in. Same thing. This time you have 10 plays. And again, it's regulated on how many plays. A kid cannot do more than 15 plays in a row. He cannot do more than total of 48 plays. And so there's a lot of organization and management and trying to figure out all that. And then, of course, God forbid, you have somebody hurt or sick, and then you got to recalculate everything and figure that out. So that all went into that scrimmage. So it's not just 2 teams just showing it up, throwing the ball out and going. There's a lot of things that go into that. And then,
while the rules would force the issue, it occurs to me that in a scrimmage situation, you're going to want to run a lot of kids in there anyway, because you're going to want to see in a real-world setting how a kid does with full pad, slapping it up against somebody wearing the different jersey.
Absolutely. And it's important for all your kids to get ready. The JV kids got a game coming up too.
Sure.
It's not just the varsity. And they need action as well. And so it does tie into that. It has a safety component, as well. Playing a kid 100 plays in a row, that's probably not good. And so there's a lot of factors that go into it. Then they take you to the plus 35, and you get 12 plays from there, offense, defense. And then the JV component, where we can get our JV guys in there. And they go 8 plays, offense, defense, and then you actually get to choose where you want to put them, and then you get another 8 plays, and that's the whole scrimmage component. And like I said, there's a lot of learning tools that come out of that. There were some things that we did well, and there's some things that we need to improve on, and but it was very, very valuable.
How did you pick Mishawaka-Marion? How did they get involved with you guys?
That was years ago.
That was years ago. Okay.
We've been scrimmaging Mishawaka-Marion for a long time.
All right.
And you know, when they went to that scrimmage format, teams are looking for each other,
Right.
you know,
Right,
to
right.
do what.
Sure.
And I see from time to time teams looking for a new scrimmage opponent. And luckily for us, Mishawaka-Marion and us have had a great relationship, and we have scrimmaged with them for many years, and it's perfect situation, I think, for both teams. So we
That's
feed
great.
the kids, both teams, after it's over. Both schools do that. And you know, there's great sportsmanship between the two schools as well.
When we come back, we're going to talk about next Friday night's opponent, Tippecanoe Valley, here on Coach Reutebuch's Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Welcome back to the Coach Jon Reutebuch Show, Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Coach Szynal and Bill Dixon here with you alongside us. Ask Coach Reutebuch here about Tippecanoe Valley, our opponent coming up next week. Tell us a little bit about Valley, Coach.
Yeah, everything we've talked about this morning as far as the coaching staff, as far as what we did over the summer, the Marion scrimmage, and all those things are all leading up to this, the Tippy Valley opening game. And as far as I know, we've never played each other.
Wow.
Maybe over 30 years ago we might have, but I've been around for 29 years, and we've never played Tippy Valley, and it's kind of wild, you know, somebody that's right here in our county a little bit. We've never played each other, and so this is a great opportunity for both communities. You know, it should be good for both programs, and it's good to have them on the staff.
They have a
or on the
storied
schedule,
football
I should
tradition
say.
down there,
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. And Coach Moriarty has built a strong program. They've had some good teams. They've had a winning program the last 3 years. They played in some big games. I think it was 2 years ago. They were TV 46 Game of the Week in sectional play, and they played for some conference championships. They made it to the second round of the sectional the last 3 years. And so this is a program that is on solid ground. They were 7-4 last year, but their 4 losses were to some good teams like a Mishawaka-Marion and Southwood and Peru, and some of those teams that were pretty solid last year. And so this is not a tune-up by any means. This is going to be a great challenge for our kids, and it's going to help us get ready for conference play. And so this is good all around for us.
Tippy Valley, historically, member of the TRC. They're part of that misdirection style, smash mouth.
Yep.
You got the veer, you got the sweep, and a lot of wingback action.
Yes, they want to run the ball.
Yeah,
and there's no doubt about it. And you know, they're going to be physical. They have several returners. They have an experienced offensive line. There's some big boys on that offensive line. The Eastip kid and the Melanson kid are the leaders there. Those are all conference kids. The Melanson kid is a huge kid, 300-pounder. A couple of our linemen know him. They've seen him around, you know, prospect camps and things like that. So up front is going to be a challenge because they're pretty solid up there, and they have an all-state running back. The Virgil kid is a solid running back, and so you know, that is something to be concerned with. We got to contain him and not allow him to get out there. They have a dynamic receiver in Kirchenstein. You know, he can make the big play. And so we got to be aware of him. And then they have a senior quarterback. He threw for over 1,000 yards last year and 14 TDs. And so, you know, offensively, we're going to have our hands full. And our defense is going to have to play well. And On the other side of the ball, our offense going against their defense, we're going to have to do the things we've been preaching all summer, and that's being physical and execute. We do those things, good things are going to happen. This is going to be a good challenge for us, the very first game, and it's a good, solid team. And we're right here at Wawasee and on the turf, and I can't think of a better way to open our season. And hopefully we're going to see some great things out there from our football team. And, you do well against a team like Tippy Valley. That's something that you're like, okay, we're going in the right direction and we're looking good. So
sure.
This is going to be a good matchup. First game of the season, there's all kinds of things that go on. There's going to be mistakes, and there's going to be some things that happen in that first game. They always say the biggest improvements between that first game and the second game. And so, we're hoping that we get off to a really good start against Tippy Valley.
You're always going to have a few mistakes in that first. Both sides are going to have a few mistakes on that first game. It just there's nothing you're going to do. It just is going to happen.
And let's not forget the special teams component.
Oh,
that has not been done.
Yeah.
And so, we work on it in practice, and we've been doing that, but that's going to be live. And that is a huge component, too. That can turn a game around.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know of anything more electrifying than a kickoff return for a touchdown or a block punt or something like that. And so that's a whole other third component.
And that's kind of your specialty.
That is my specialty. I actually am taking back over the special teams this year out of necessity. And so that is an area that we're going to need to be solid in as well. And it may make the difference in the game.
Hey, how is it having a home game for your first game? What do you think about that?
I love it. I do. I just think it gets the student body excited. It gets everybody excited. And we have the opportunity to go out and show all our hard work where that, is culminating into. You don't have to worry about loading on the buses, and you don't have to worry about getting there on time. And, we feed our kids before we leave, just a little snack thing to keep them going. And, we feed them after it's over. I mean, there's all kinds of logistics that go into that. You don't have to worry about that when you're at home. And so there's still logistics, but not as much. And so I like starting with the home game. There's some coaches like to go on the road to get away from any distraction, but I like the home game. So I'm excited about it, and I think the kids are too.
Always great to see the folks from Valley. We usually only see them at basketball time and a few of the other sports, but it'll be great to see them for football as well. One thing that really impressed me last night with your team was on the defensive side especially, but on the offensive side too. They stayed home. They played their assignment. They counted on the other 10 kids on the field. And we're going to talk about those kids that did that last night, but that's going to play big against Valley this coming week.
Absolutely. Great observation.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about those individuals that are on the Wawasee Warrior football program and did so well last night in the Mishawaka-Marion scrimmage. So, Coach, tell us a little bit about those kids. Mishawaka-Marion was a fantastic team, and your kids did so well last night. Who's really going to play big for you this year?
Well, this year team, it's an interesting combination. We don't have a ton of starters coming back. But we have a lot of kids with experience, if that makes sense.
Sure.
We've had kids that had varsity experience last year. They may not have been the starter. And we have some up-and-coming kids coming up that are going to contribute greatly. We feel like we're a little bit more athletic this year than we were in the past. And then
that's that strength and conditioning coming back to you.
Absolutely. And we have a little more quickness on our team and speed. And so, that's great things. It all starts on offense with the 3-year starters on the offensive line and seniors, Dryden Hernandez and Logan Mast and Quentin Smitsmocker, that we mentioned before. Those guys have played for 3 years. They have changed their bodies, and they're ready to get after it, and they've had a great summer together along with the 2 juniors, Chance Flannery and Nico Ramirez.
Really impressed with the Hernandez kid last night. His ability to get up on the block after the snap. He snaps, and then as a center coming up into the block, it was like instantaneous. Really impressive last night.
Yeah, he has become very good at that center position, and those guys have worked together. It's a chemistry with the offensive line. When to come off a block, when to stay on it, and things like that. And so it all starts there. We can't do anything without a good offensive line, and we feel like in this third year we're in the best position we've been. As far as the offensive line goes. In the backfield, we got Nate Larson at running back, and Nate is a lunch pail kid, works hard. He is seeing things that he didn't see last year. Part of that is holes are opening up, and he's able to read things, and so we're excited about him. And then Cameron Zimmerman, Jr., looking really good all summer long. He's another running back candidate that's we're expecting big things from. Tight end position, Colin Robertson, Mark Wiggs. We talked about those two basketball players, strong kids.
Big kids.
Big kids. Tight end position requires you to block and catch passes. That's an interesting combination. So those two have done a great job, and it'll enable us to do a lot of things. Offensively, we're going to be multi-formational. We're going to have a lot of different formations, but running, not a bunch of plays, but there's a lot of options off those plays. And so, for the linemen, they only have so many blocking schemes they got to learn. And for the other team, everything looks alike, and it's talking about things coming around, it's like the old option and those kind of things, except it's just out of different formations and things like that. So we're going to utilize a lot of different weapons this year. A couple guys at receiver, Chase Dennis and Hunter Tinkey at wide receiver, both speed guys, and Lucas Ringler and Jackson Brown at quarterback. And as I said, I think we're going to be a little more dynamic in offense than we have been the last couple of years, and a little more reliant on the run than the last couple of years. We put the ball in the air quite a bit with Parker Young at quarterback, and not saying we're not going to do that, because we are going to do that, as you saw last night, but we're going to want to matriculate the ball down the field, running the ball and keeping possession, and keeping the other team's offense off the field.
Your mother would love that word.
There you go.
That is really, I love
the
it.
ability to mix it up just keeps the other guy guessing.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's your advantage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Defensively, we liked our defense last year. We just put them on the field too much. And the speed component there, those guys are, we got a lot of guys that fly around the football and do a good job. You mentioned the D-line holding their ground.
And your linebackers, too.
Yeah.
They didn't bite on the fake, and there was plenty of misdirection from Marion last night, too. They did not bite. They stayed home, and they waited.
Yeah. And Coach Davidson referred to that he was impressed by our defensive line play, and we're not there yet. We haven't solved all the problems, and we still got rotations and things like that. But we really like our defense right now and where they're at, and we feel like that can be a strength of this team. You keep the other team from scoring, you can't lose the game.
That's right.
So. And on defense, we got some guys coming back that were all conference last year. Don Blair, and I mentioned Nate Larson at linebacker, and we got some new faces there too, and David Anderson, and
he had a big night last night.
Yeah, and Elliot Tinsley and some other guys, linebacking core. And then we got some young guys that are playing linebacker that are going to be great players of the future, and I'll probably see a little time on the varsity, and Brandon Kelly and Aiden Mons. Those kids are really coming along and bringing a wonderful component to that. Up front, Mark Wiggs, Aiden Merkler, Colin Robertson on the defensive line. We can put some big bodies up there like Nick Clark, and we can get some quickness in there with Colt Dolson. He's 195 pounds, but he moves quickly, and so we're able to rotate guys, keep them fresh, and keep the pressure on the offense, and that's important. Our secondary, we got some athletes there. Jared Smith, Lucas Ringler, Chase Dennis. They are good athletes, but not a lot of experience there. And that is something that we've been working on and we'll be continually working on. And that's, those are the scrimmages, the camps, and all those things to get them as much experience as recognizing what's going on in the secondary. And, that's an area of concentration that we need to have to make sure that we're holding it down in the back end. And we had a couple missteps there last night, and we're going to fix those. And Lucas Ringler really is the only returner there, and so that's the one area that we're going to have to look out for. Go ahead.
On special teams, who have you got coming back for that? Who's going to be playing those?
Well, we got Caleb Clevenger. He's a soccer player, football player, kicker.
Mr. Toe.
Yes, and he's a great kid, and he is going to return to do our place kicking and kickoffs. He's a weapon. Mm-hmm. We get down in the 20, 25-yard line. If we don't get the first down, or it's a little bit farther than we'd like to go, we can bring him out, and it's probably going to be 3 points on the board. And
what a luxury that most high school teams just don't have.
Absolutely, and it's a key component of our program. We've been lucky enough to get get a soccer kid or somebody to come out and kick for us, and we've been pretty strong in the kicking game, and so that makes a huge difference.
And who's going to be your punter this year?
Tim Bolt. Junior, he also kicks too. He's got a really strong leg. He might do a little kicking off as well, but he's going to be the punter this year, and he's got a really strong leg. He's a junior, and he's probably the heir apparent to Caleb Clevenger, and so to have two guys that have strong legs and can execute some things is going to be great for us. And then the special teams, typically we try to play sophomores, kids that are not starters on the special teams, not only get them the experience, but they're going to be fresher. It helps our two-way starters, the kids that are doing that, to get a breather, to refresh. You just need a lot of kids in football. And so we're going to have a lot of those younger guys on special teams, guys that are not necessarily a starter. And it's important. It's the third stage in football. Offense, defense, and special teams. And I don't think it gets enough credit. Being a special teams guy, it doesn't get enough credit. And it is so huge. And, when we get in conference, every team's well coached. Every team has athletes. And so you better have your A game or that costs you. And so, that's going to be an area of focus as well. If we can stay away from injuries and we keep progressing and getting better each week, we're going to be a team to be reckoned with this season. And we're looking for that signature win. We want to win more conference games. We want to win the out-of-conference games. We need to start making that turn a little bit, and we feel like we can do that. We feel like we got the athletes to do that. We feel like we got the team chemistry to do that. And the senior mantra says it all. The time is now. The time is now to start turning this thing around and start bringing success back to Wawasee football, and that's what we're looking to do this year.
And we're hoping you'll join us for that Friday night's game at home against Tippecanoe Valley, a new opponent on the football roster, but one that we've seen many times in other sports. Game time, 7 o'clock. If you can't be at the stadium, be by the radio, and Coach Szynal and I will have the call for you, but we'd much rather see you at Warrior Field this coming Friday night. This is the Coach Jon Reutebuch Show on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com, WRWTLP, Syracuse.